to my channel of HR Over Coffee. And today we're going to talk about a topic for business owners that really doesn't get a lot of fame. It's not really something that people talk about a lot when it comes to small businesses. We're going to dive into this topic today that I want to, spotlight for you, that impacts every small business, and that's compliance and risk. And I'm going to share with you 5 things that I feel that are very big risk for every small business, and every small business owner definitely needs to understand these top 5 risks, and it will help you with your business, help you advance, help you to grow, and help you to really focus in the areas. Now I know that compliance and risk is not a sexy topic. I know it's not something that most people want to talk about, but it is a fact of business, and you need to understand the risk. And I'm not talking about risk as far as, what you should do before you open your business, but ongoing risk, compliance, things that you need to adhere to that could land you in big trouble and could even cost you your business. So we're going to dive into that here. So stay tuned as we move forward and talk about these 5 risks. So, the first thing that I want to talk about is compliance might sound technical, and it might even be overwhelming. And in fact, a lot of people really don't understand that compliance is really a way to safeguard your business. It's a way for you as the business owner to ensure what you spent your lifelong dreams on, your money on, that you safeguard it. So, what is compliance? First, let's talk about what it is that compliance is. Compliance is following laws and regulations and standards that apply to every business and your employees. So, basically, there are several things you need to consider when you're thinking about compliance. First, federal law. What are the federal laws surrounding your business, your industry? So, for example, if you are in construction, then you need to understand the OSHA laws. You need to understand the regulations around that. You need to understand what happens if your employee gets hurt on the job. What happens if someone doesn't pay you on time, or you don't finish on time? What are the laws around that? And once you think about the federal laws, then there's also state laws. You have to understand the state and local laws around your construction business. What does the state require as far as framing, um, you know, uh, standards that you have to comply to, electrical standards, all of that. And then there's industry standards, EEOC, safety laws, OSHA laws, all these regulations around these things. And then you might want to consider internal policies, handbooks. What do you require for your employees? Do they have to wear steel toe shoes? Is that in your handbook? Do they need to work certain hours? Is there an overtime requirement? Are you paying overtime properly? Or are you saying, hey, just stay and I'll give you Friday off? You need to look into that because it sounds simple. It sounds like something you can do, but it could land you in big trouble if someone complains. If someone says you're being unfair in your hiring policy. So let's say, for example, classification. This is one thing that really gets a lot of companies in a little bit of trouble. Are you classifying your employees right? Is it a contractor or an employee? Do you know the difference and whether this is a contractor or an employee? Or did you hire someone as a contractor, but you're treating them like a W 2 employee? You might be saying, okay, Tillis, what does that mean? So, for example, a contractor is, they don't have to follow your, requirements in terms of time of work. As a contractor, as long as they get the work done and completed on time, it doesn't require them to be there every day from 9 to 5. But a W 2 employee, when you hire them and they're on your payroll, you can specify the hours that they need to work each day. A contractor, you don't do that. But in a contract situation, you can say, I need you to work or have some work done and completed by XYZ. So, for example, if I'm going to hire a contractor to come and install my deck for me, I want the deck completed in 30 days. So the contractor can come 1 or 2 hours this week, 1 or 2 hours next week, 3 hours the following week, 10 hours the final week, and it's done. A W 2 employee, I would say, hey, I need this completed in 30 days, and I need you to work from 9 to 12 each day. See, you can't dictate to the contractor that, but you can dictate to the W 2 employee that. And sometimes companies want the contractor to act like a W 2 employee, and that just does not work. And it could land you into a lot of trouble if you do require that. Now, why does compliance matter? Why does it even matter? The compliance. Well, one, you want to avoid legal risk. Yes. Mistakenly misclassifying an employee, missing tax filings, ignoring labor laws, all of these things can end up with fines and penalties for you and your company. And these penalties can be substantial. In fact, they could be, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 in fines and lawsuits to you. Protecting your reputation. Now, this one is important. You don't want people going to the, you know, um, Better Business Bureau or going on social media. You want to protect your reputation. Compliance helps you to build trust with your employees, with your customers, with investors. Non compliance can damage your reputation big time. A lot of times I have seen as an HR professional that, let's say, for instance, I want to do business with this company. I'm going to do my research. I'm going to look and see on LinkedIn, on social media. I'm going to see what other people are saying. I'm going to the Better Business Bureau and I'm researching to find out, is this company credible? Do I want to attach my company with your company? So, protecting your reputation is key right now in this world. And we've all seen it. We've seen it where people go on social media, and the next thing you know, your company name is out there. You have a bad rating, and now you can no longer get business. So, making sure that you're following the compliance laws, you're keeping your reputation is important. Operational efficiency. So, this one I would have to say is almost number one. Because if people can't trust that your hours are open, then they can't trust you. You're out of compliance, maybe, just depending on the area. But more importantly, building that trust, following the rules, reducing confusion. So if you're saying that your office is open, if you have a store and your store is supposed to be open from 8 to 8, and then all of a sudden you a couple of days a week you can't open at 8 and you open at 9, or some days you open at 10 and maybe you close at 5 and it's not busy, so you let everyone go home at 6. That's not efficient, and it wastes time. It causes conflict and confusion, and you end up losing business because people don't know when you're open. They don't know what you do. They're confused. So operational efficiency is also very important as to why compliance matters. The next one is you want to have employee retention. So employees want to know that they can work someplace where it's fair, it's consistent, and it's safe. Compliance creates stability for your employees as well as your customers. And you might be saying, well, Tillis, I'm just starting out in my business. I don't have employees yet. But start thinking along these lines so that when you do have employees, now you have clear policies. In the real world, a small business can be fined very heavily for unpaid overtime because they didn't understand the rules. Listen, if there's one thing that I could say to you as your online HR strategist and HR professional, you want to make sure that you're doing things fair and consistent. If you ask an employee to work overtime, pay them overtime pay. It's not worth your reputation. It's not worth you losing your business for a few hours of overtime. If you know that you can't pay overtime, don't offer it. Let the employee go home. If your business is not producing enough income for you to pay overtime, then this is where you have to put your big boy pants on, your big girl panties on, and you're going to have to do it yourself. That's just the way it is. As business owners, and I am one, sometimes we have to do things that maybe we don't want to do or we don't have time to do, but you cannot allow your reputation as a stable business, as a fair business, to get ruined. Now, down to the five common mistakes that risk that happen in a business. Number one, hiring practice. These are the big five risks, the big five. There's plenty of more risks that could happen to you in your business, but these are the big five, okay? Number one, hiring practices. Making sure that you're posting your jobs correctly, that you have a good job description that clearly defines what the duties are for that job. Make sure that you're not discriminating. I know we're working in a different world right now, and I know that people are sensitive, but also be conscious of people, their differences, and any biases that you may have. Get rid of it. It has no place in business. You're here to create an opportunity for people to work. People want to work for you. You also want to sell your product and service. So discrimination or bias has no place in the business. Get rid of it. Just get rid of it. Okay? Make sure you're doing background checks. You want to protect your business, your proprietary information. Do the background checks. There are online background check companies. If you need a if you need a referral to a background check company, reach out to me. Send me a message. I'm more than happy to refer you to companies that I've used in the past that have a great reputation. Whether it's a simple background check or you need to do a deep one, if people are handling money, if people are driving your vehicles, if people are working with your customers, you want to do a background check. You want to make sure that your customers are safe, their information is safe. It doesn't cost you that much. It's a cost of doing business, but again, back to your business reputation. You don't want someone else's information or money to be stolen because you didn't do the due diligence, okay? Asking fair interview questions. This is a passion of mine. Make sure that you ask the same questions to the same people. I'm sorry. Make sure you ask the same questions to every candidate you interview. Don't ad lib. Think about the questions you want to ask so that you can make the best hire possible beforehand. It is not something you wing. And if you need someone to help you, then an admin or HR person. You can hire a fractional HR person that can really help you to put interview questions together and create an interview bank of questions for you so that once you're ready to hire, now you have the questions already available. Wage and hire laws. minimum pay wage, tracking your hours correctly, exemplifying and classifying employees whether they're exempt or non exempt. These are classic things that I've seen small businesses get into trouble. Make sure that you understand what the minimum wage is and don't pay minimum wage if you can. Go a little higher. Or maybe if you have to pay in minimum wage, maybe offer an end of year bonus or, extra vacation. Do something to keep your good employees, okay? I know that everything isn't about money, but we need money, okay? People have to pay mortgage or rent or car, children that they have to take care of. Let's be fair. Let's be fair. And if it's something you can't do down right now, then maybe as the company grows, you can offer profit sharing or other ways to compensate that person. Okay. So if you need help there, I'm happy to help you. I'm not here trying to sell you anything. I just want to give you information, but make sure that you are tracking the hours correctly. Have some type of system that where they sign in and sign out. Okay, so that you can track properly and make sure you know whether they're exempt or not exempt. Workplace safety. This is another huge area. A lot of companies don't get when they're just starting out, not big companies, of course, they have this under control, but make sure that you have workers' compensation insurance for your and unemployment insurance for your employees. Okay? So make sure you're doing these safety things to protect your business. OSHA is big on safety, even small businesses. A safe environment is non negotiable. You want to make sure that your employees feel safe when they come to work. Make sure it's clean space, walking space. If you're working in logistics, for example, make sure that you have the pallet jacks or, you know, um, forklifts. Make sure that you have these things and make sure that your employees know how to operate the machinery properly. If you're owning a trucking company, make sure that they get certified to drive a CDL. Make sure that the trucks are in good condition. An example is here in Maryland, where I live, there was a major accident because someone was driving a dump truck. The dump truck was known to have a lot of safety violations, but the owner of the company never fixed it. One morning, the gentleman gets in the truck and the brakes don't work. He's going downhill. He crashes into a lady who had just left home on her way to work, killed her instantly, leaving her two kids without a mom. These are things I want you to think about as a business owner. What if that was you? What if you were the owner of the business? Now, the driver said that he knew and had told the owner that the truck brakes were failing. Don't be so, I don't want to say greedy, but don't be so anxious for work that you put others' life in danger. What we do as business owners is critical to make sure that we keep our employees safe, our company safe, and also people that are on the road safe. Employee classification, we talked about this. This is important to make sure that you understand the difference in a contractor and a W 2 employee, whether people are part time or full time. This is where you have to really dig in and get help from a professional to help you classify these employees. One thing I know from working for the federal government is that this is where a lot of companies get huge fines. When you're audited or at tax time, this comes into play. Record keeping. Keep your employee records and files. Make sure that you do the I-9 verification. Make sure you keep your payroll records. If you do not keep payroll records or have a way to do your accounting with a bookkeeper, make sure that you get that ASAP. That's important. That's number one. Because at the end of the year, when you go to file your taxes, guess what? You're lost. You don't know what to do because you did not keep your good records and benefits documentation. So you need employee files on every employee. And you need to keep some records separate. So you can have an employee file, and then you need to have a separate payroll file separately. The I-9 needs to be separate as well. So that's three different files on one employee. So make sure that you understand these things. And again, this is not something to play around with. Get help from a professional. The cost of non-compliance. Well, let me just say this. The cost outweighs the headache. Trust me when I tell you. Not only will you have fines and penalties, but you could be forced to pay back pay. Then there's legal issues, lawsuits that could be filed, government audits, all of these things. And what does it do at the end of the day? It damages your reputation. It makes your trustworthy as a trustworthy business in your community go down. You want to limit your damage, build brand trust, and at the end of the day, all of this leads to being able harder to recruit and hire employees. So let me just tell you that um, failure to do any of these things when it comes to risk and compliance can really cost you big time. And at the end of the day, you don't want to start your dream company just to have it taken away because you didn't follow these things. And they become bigger and bigger problems. The longer you're in business, the more clients you have, the more employees you have, the employees that leave. Oh, and by the way, yes, the government will look at previous employees too. And will those people say good things about you and your company? I don't know. So here's the closing thoughts. Compliance isn't about creating red tape. It's not about, you having more to do or, all of these things piling up on you. And this is where my burnout to boss comes into play because I understand. You're a business owner, you need to get your business going, so you're doing all these things. But understand that it's about protecting your business. You've worked hard to build it, to get it going, to all of these things, and now you don't want to take a chance to just risk it all. Think of it as an insurance policy against risk you might not see coming. So, lastly, the stronger your compliance foundation is, the freer you are to focus on growth and innovation in your business. So, guys, listen, I'm Tillis, I'm your HR professional. I'm here to help all my business owners succeed, to protect and grow your business. Okay. I am definitely open to helping anyone and I'm definitely reachable. So leave a comment below if you like more information about how I can help you with your business and share the word. I'm going to be sharing a lot of information here that you would pay a lot of money to get, but I just want to help my business owners. I've spent 18 years working for big companies and federal government in HR, and I can help you to grow your business. So tune into this channel for more information about compliance, hiring, um, you know, risk, all of those things. Compensation. How do you pay someone? How do you know what to pay someone? We're going to talk about all those things here on HR Over Coffee. And I didn't share my coffee with you, but I do have my cup. I'm actually drinking tea today. I don't know if you can hear it, but I actually have a little nasal thing going on. So I have my tea. But I wanted to make sure that I did come on and share with you guys um, more information about risk and compliance. I look forward to talking with you later. Look for the next video that'll be coming up soon. Talk to you later. Bye bye.